Good morning to all of you. I hope you hear me well. I've been following this seminar with great interest, and what I will do now is I want to bring in quickly. Just one slide on my own university. We're by far Norway's largest university with 42,000 students. I won't go through all these numbers, but what I would like to highlight is the bullet point second to the last, which says that NTNU, we award more than 80% of all master degrees in engineering and technology in Norway. This implies that we have a particular national responsibility for this sector, which is, of course, very important for future use of the type of technologies that we are, for instance, discussing here today. Further, we have very close links with Norwegian work life, both businesses as well as the public sector. I also just want to mention the last bullet point, which we are very proud of. We host two Nobel laureates who won the Nobel Prize in 2014 for actually understanding how this was within the area of neuroscience. So they were discovered how we actually orient ourselves in space. Actually, how you could say our internal, it's kind of our internal GPS system. So let me move on and look at the bigger picture in Norway. This is a picture of our parliament. So our politicians are very engaged in increasing the collaboration between universities and the private and public sector to obtain transfer of knowledge, and also for us to develop as a university in a way which is optimal for society. And they also clearly state in their national white paper, in relevant white papers, that they see universities as a very important and increasingly important component in our national system, both in terms of the fact that we are educating students, which will be change agents for within work life, and also that we perform relevant research, which can then be transformed into innovations for the better of our society. So, given this, how do we respond as a university? What should an educational program look like at a university like NTNU in the future? There are drivers now. We need to increase attention on sustainability, interdisciplinarity, digitalization, globalization, new professional roles, as well as lifelong learning. So, having done this, we are now deep into a project at NTNU in how to actually construct educational programs of the future. And a couple of things there which are key components. One is increasing links to work life throughout the life of being a student, throughout the study programs. And also one other thing which is important if you think about technology for the future, and that is the connection and links to humanities and social sciences. There are many issues within technology development or within technology oriented education in the future, which require more understanding of, say, deep-rooted questions. For instance, an obvious example is the link between artificial intelligence, which also has been a research field of my own, how this connects to kind of ethical challenges, ethical problems. So there are many drivers, the ones that I've included here, but also others, that makes it necessary to actually look into and carve out, in some sense, a new paradigm for technology education of the future, even though it is and will always be important that you really have good understanding of basic skill knowledge in disciplines like mathematics, physics, computer science, etc. So education has to be adapted to society's needs for change. And in this, I would like to highlight in particular the issue of continued education, lifelong learning, which is an issue that where we are now focusing more and more. There are issues in this. For instance, how do we develop a sustainable, say, commercial model for this kind of activity? So what we try to do here is to connect, say, our ordinary students within our bachelor and master's programs with continued educational programs. And then, of course, IT and digitalization, which has been discussed extensively in a couple of the talks before me now, they are transforming the fundamental and premises of education, which of course is a core activity with us. And you could say that in some sense, teaching excellence in the future is something which has an extended set of characteristics compared to earlier. So what we are doing now is that we are developing different measures. We are developing a system for recognition of pedagogical competence and development. It's always an issue or a challenge at the university. Research is seen as the most important activity by many of our professors. However, including then ways of recognizing pedagogical excellence is important. We have various development projects. We also try to connect with the outside world also beyond, say, working life, namely with schools. And with schools, I mean, for instance, high schools and high schools. So seek to better understand this. And also, of course, as many of you know, we are looking into constructing alternative forms of assessment, not only the traditional old-fashioned, in a sense, assessment. So then, not surprisingly, I will say a few words about what's ongoing now. In my view, the universities, as many other institutions, we are in the middle of a gigantic digitalization digital transformation, or an experiment. And when one performs experiments, it's very important to learn from experiments. So what we are trying to do now, we are in the middle of this, of course, but what we're trying to do is to bring this together and try to understand how should this gigantic experiment also influence the development of our future teaching. I can give you there are some numbers here. In Norway, the lockdown was on March the 13th. That is here. And these are unique sessions started in terms of remote learning at NTNU, and you see how this skyrocketed just 1 or 2 days after. And this is what has been going on now. So for instance, at our university now, this spring, we have actually hosted 1,700 exams digitally. The number before for Christmas was like 100 or 200. So this is in fact amazing. These kind of numbers. So again, we need to use this, learn from this, and see how we can deliver education, and education in terms of so I mean in the title of this seminar, one says response to a rapidly changing environment. I mean, this is more than rapid. This is extreme. So we have shown that we are actually able to develop us further. However, we need to use this information. Then we are a part of, we are a university in Norway, NTNU, we're a university in Norway, we're a university in Europe, and we're a university in the world. So therefore, we are also connecting with partners. and in this case with the technology-oriented universities throughout Europe in a proposal now towards the European University Alliance, together with the Technical University of Berlin, Chalmers in Sweden, Politecnico Milano in Italy, Warsaw University in Poland, University Politecnica in Valencia, and RWTH in Aachen University. And these are the kind of things that we want to look into, we want to develop. And of course, and what is interesting is that we submitted this proposal in February, and this huge experiment has been now ongoing for 3 months. That is the COVID-19. I use this word experiment just to kind of link it to say that we need to learn from this rather tough situation. And so this will also, I guess, form this, if we're successful here, form this, how this will develop further beyond what was actually concretely stated in the proposal. So to finish off my second last slide, a path to success. Universities, we must conduct a close dialogue with the private and public sectors. And what I mean by this is not just that we will supply these sectors with our graduates, but we also want to learn from them. We bring them into certain fora and arenas such that we have this dialogue. So therefore, we are also very interested in kind of developing as a partner. And how can we better kind of transform knowledge into the needs of working life? I guess one advantage we have in Norway, since we have this very strong footprint within technology education in Norway, is the fact that we have close connections with all industries that matter in our country. But we are then further now developing our links towards the public sector, which has been weaker in the past. So let me just finish off with this. At NTNU, we have a slogan or a vision which we are quite proud of: knowledge for a better world. And how do we define a better world? Well, we try to project this onto the Sustainable Development Goals. That's a nice way. So in that sense, we are trying to transform our university through the kind of things that I've been discussing already, which has focused on education. In addition, of course, we do have focus on research, both in terms of applied as well as excellent research and innovation. However, in terms of education, this is the way that we are moving forward.